Ladies and gentlemen, a high number of teachers are quitting across the country. So, this story is pretty recent. But you know what? This same thing was happening like back in 2021. There were a lot that were retiring early or switching careers or just getting out the classroom altogether. Well, look like it's starting up again. So, the data is in. More teachers than usual are exiting the classroom after last year confirming longstanding fears of pandemic era stresses would prompt an outflow of educators. That's according to Chalkbeat analysis data from 8 states, the most comprehensive accounting of recent teacher turnover to date. In Washington state, more teachers left the classroom after last school year than at any point in the last 3 decades. And Maryland and Louisiana saw more teachers depart than any time in the last decade. North Carolina saw an alarming trend of more teachers leaving mid school year. The turnover increases and that continues on, but there were meaningful, and the churn could affect school ability to help students make up for learning loss in the wake of the pandemic. This data also suggests that spiking stress levels, student behavior challenges, and a harsh political spotlight have all taken their toll on many American teachers. Education had changed so dramatically, the issues were getting bigger and bigger. So, this is a former Spanish teacher that recently left. Since the pandemic threw U.S. schools in disarray, many educators and experts warned that more teachers would flee the profession. But in 2020, turnover dipped in many places as the economy stalled. Then 2021 hit, and it kind of, they said they, in some areas, they went slightly above average in hiring more people. In other areas, it didn't change. So, as this school year began, widespread reports of teacher shortages suggest that turnover had jumped more significantly. So, data was hard to come by. The federal government doesn't um, track teacher resign rates, they don't do anything like that. Many states don't either, with education officials in California, New Mexico, Ohio, and Pennsylvania saying that they don't know how many teachers actually left so far. But Chalkbeat was able to obtain the latest teacher turnover numbers from 8 states: Hawaii, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Washington. So, what they looked at was 2021 and 2022 school years. In all cases, turnovers were at the highest point in at least 5 years, typically around 2%, points greater than the year before. It implies that in schools with 50 teachers, one more than usual left after the last school year. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, and a lot of them are saying that they don't like all the politics that are now playing into teaching. In Louisiana, for instance, nearly 7,000 teachers exited the classroom last year, or about 1,000 more than usual. That's a turnover rate of 14%, up from between 11 and 12% pre pandemic. There was a variation among 8 states. Mississippi teacher workforce was the most stable. Turnover was 13% this year, only slightly higher than the 2 previous years. North Carolina saw the largest spike. 16% of the teachers left last year, compared with less than 12% in the last 3 years before the pandemic. So, one teacher is saying they taught AP language, which was supposed to teach the very controversial, the African American course. They were supposed to teach that too. And, now that everything have gotten political, they're saying they're just getting out. It's hard enough and more difficult um, when you can't even teach what you want. Now you're being told what you can and cannot teach. That's also turning a lot of teachers off. So, other teachers were citing a growing workload and more difficulty in managing student behavior. So, student engagement plummeted as students returned to class in the fall of 2021, some for the first time in over a year. A lot of these students are really hurting and suffering with intense emotional problems and high needs. The needs just grew after the pandemic, and I noticed a lot of emotional outbursts. It didn't help, she said, that her class size were large, ranging from 25 to 30 students, making it hard to form close relationships with students. Plus, the school was short staffed and there were many absences, constant cover for other teachers and classes, and losing her planning time. This is what one of the teachers were saying. She left in the middle of the school year last year, something she never imagined doing because it's so disruptive for the school and for her students. But it got so bad, she said, I was very overwhelmed and stressed. I was anxious and tired all the time. So she made the decision mid school year just to leave. State reports hint at rising frustration has pushed more teachers out of the classroom. In Louisiana, the number of teachers who resigned due to dissatisfaction increased. In Hawaii, more teachers than usual identified the work environment as the reason for leaving. In both states, personal reasons and retirement were still far more common explanations. While 8 states where Chalkbeat obtained data may not be representative of the country as a whole, there were signs that higher, um, you know, resignation rates were pretty widespread. But in recent nationally represented survey ran, the school district leaders reported that 4% increase in teacher turnover, and this is in other states. So, data from a handful of districts showed a similar trend. Um, for instance, turnover among licensed staff, including teachers, spiked from 9% to 12% in Clark County, Nevada, the country's fifth largest district. In Austin, Texas, the turnover jumped from 17% to 24%. Other school staff appear to be leaving at higher rates too. Hawaii experienced a jump in aides and service staff who exited public schools. North Carolina saw over 17% of principals departed last year from schools, compared to 13% 3 years before the pandemic. So, a degree of staff turnover in schools is considered healthy. Some new teachers realize the profession, it just isn't for them. So, they're saying that they get teachers that are new, and early on they realize they are not really interested in being in the classroom and they leave, while others take a different job in public education, becoming like an assistant principal. But in general, research has found that teacher churn harms students' learning. So, students lose relationships with trusted educators. Inexperienced teachers are brought in as replacements, and in some cases, classrooms are left with only long-term substitutes. Yeah, and and they're having a hard time finding substitutes. And a lot of times, it's not just that new teachers can't handle it. You got to understand, teaching don't pay a lot of money. And sometimes it is the low pay that also will inspire a lot of new teachers to just leave. It's just not enough money for them to live on. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know the turnover where I am is pretty bad because I see the ads, the wanted ads for teachers and full-time, part-time substitutes, and they're not easily finding any of these folks out here anymore. You know, a lot of times you would have retired teachers that would do substituting, but you don't even have that anymore. A lot of them don't even want to be back in the classroom at all. So, y'all let me know what you think. I mean, I'm not surprised this is a growing problem in the country. One thing about education, it's never really been the best in the country. And to be honest with you, I'm surprised teachers didn't leave a lot sooner, especially back when I used to see their salaries. I'm surprised many of them didn't leave sooner. You really have to put up with a lot, with so many different personalities and children in the classroom at once. And if it's not for you, then it's just not for you. So, ladies and gentlemen, please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.